Eddie Wigglesworth has built a solid pack around captain Steve Jamieson and the two former Old Belvederians, Tim Coughlin and Kevin Devlin, with a powerful New Zealander, Brent Pope, at number 8. Brian Keane has recovered from his injured knee and returns to prop, and the back line with Nicky Barry and Vinnie Cunningham can be brilliant, with the league's top scorer, Aidan White, at full back. Young Munster's impressive pack have provided a firm platform from which they've built a formidable record. In 7 games they've conceded only 30 points, by far the best defensive record in the country. Peter Clohessy makes his international debut next Saturday, and brother Ger, the captain, is fit to take his place on the flank. Derek Tobin and Aidan O'Halloran are reliable halfbacks, and with the 3 McNamaras joining O'Mara and Brosnahan, there are no weak links for the opposition to exploit behind the scrum. Referee Dave McHugh from the Munster Referees Association blows his whistle. Nicky Barry kicks off for St Mary's College against young Munster in this game, which will decide the destination of the Insurance Corporation League, and the very scenes that people didn't want to see erupt from the kickoff. And what a disgraceful exhibition at the start of this game. And referee Dave McHugh is really going to have to sort it out. And I dare say he's going to have a chat with the touch judge on the far side, Wayne Sheridan, and find out who started all that. Tony Ward, that's not the way we wanted to see this deciding game, this showpiece for club rugby, begin.
What is rugby all about? That is not what it's all about. It's been bubbling under, it's been there all week, the build-up hasn't helped. Let's hope the referee puts his foot in now, stamps it out, and that's the end of it. Rugby is not about kicking, punching, gouging. It's about playing the ball. Let's hope that's what we're going to see for the next 79 minutes.
And the referee at the moment talking to Mark Fitzgerald, number 2 on the young Munster side, the captain Ger Clohessy, number 6, and the St Mary's captain Steve Jamieson. And he's awarding the penalty to St Mary's College. Right from the kickoff, young Munster deemed to be responsible for what was perhaps a disgraceful scene at the start of the game. Aidan White with this penalty kick for St Mary's. Right and wide, the ball chipped down by Ger McNamara. O'Halloran's long kick taken by Nicky Barry. Derek Tobin's high kick. Tony Gillen takes it for St Mary's. Derek Darling bursting forward without the ball, but it went forward. It'll be a scrum to young Munster. And Ger Clohessy, the captain of the young Munster side, requiring attention. Ger Clohessy, who is a doubtful player at the start and obviously in some trouble here. Just 3 minutes of time has elapsed, and it may be that Ger Clohessy feels that he can't continue. It would be a great pity for him in such a big game for him and for the club. In fact, Ger Clohessy looks as if he's coming off. And what a disappointment for the captain of young Munster, that leg injury coming against him. So young Munster down to 7 forwards. Referee Dave McHugh, it's a tough job for him. He looks around to see if the substitute can come on yet for Ger Clohessy. And so Derek Milan comes in to replace Ger Clohessy, just 4 minutes gone. Ger Earls, good break by Earls, into the Mary's 22. Aidan White tidies up, but that was good work by young Munster. 5 minutes into the game, no score. Mark Fitzgerald throwing for young Munster. Ray Ryan's good catch, beautifully won by young Munster. O'Halloran's drop it goal, right, could be dangerous, taken by Wall for St. Mary's. But the penalty is against St. Mary's under the posts. The referee awarding a penalty to young Munster. And it seems it's being awarded for obstruction, but a chance for Aidan O'Halloran to give young Munster the lead. Aidan O'Halloran, who's kicked 66 of the 97 points young Munster have scored in this competition, opens the scoring. Young Munster lead 3-0. Barry's good restart, giving his forwards time to get up underneath it. Mary's coming in well, but it's well controlled by young Munster. The dummy from the scrum half mightn't have been in the spirit of the new laws. It's a good kick, kept in play by Aidan White, and finds a good touch on the turn. He was caught in that no man's land. To the line out, number 7 for young Munster on the right, Ger Earls. Nicely won to Thorne, Barry, Vinnie Cunningham. The kick not angled sufficiently. Ger McNamara doesn't gain any ground. Leaving the 2 men at the line-out from Michael Corcoran's throw. Jemison at the front, Tim Coughlin at the back. Ray Ryan at the back and Peter Meehan at the front for young Munster. Nicely deflected back to Thorne. Kevin Potts drives forward. Thorne to Barry for St. Mary's. Out to Cunningham, Cunningham into the 22, White had overrun him, penalty against St. Mary's. Cunningham didn't release the ball on the ground. Good attack by St. Mary's. But Vinnie Cunningham grounded, didn't release the ball, and the penalty goes to young Munster. O'Halloran's kick doesn't find touch, could be costly. This is Tony Gillen. Now Kevin Potts. Thorne, Derek Dowling, taken down well by Tobin. Thorne, this is good work by St. Mary's. Cunningham now back into Lavin. Supported well, young Munster offside. The referee might well have been advised to let that one go, because the advantage was very definitely to St. Mary's when the whistle went. And meanwhile, Des Lamont, the touch judge on this side, calling the referee's attention to an incident, and the penalty to St. Mary's might well be reversed. Referee Des Lamont speaks to the referee, Dave McHugh, and the St. Mary's number 4, Tim Coughlin, is spoken to. by the referee, and he's awarding a penalty at this side to young Munster. So an indiscretion by the St. Mary's number 4, seen by the touch judge, and the Mary's chance of a penalty goal goes a begging. Still 3 points to nil. Young Munster clearly in front. Fitzgerald's long throw, tapped down beautifully to Brent Pope. St. Mary's New Zealander sets it back for Thorne. Brian Keane setting up the maul. Nicky Barry on halfway. Beautifully judged, Nicky Barry. Front of the line, Peter Clohessy waits, bent down for young Munster. Ray Ryan gets a lovely catch, nice two-handed catch. Twice the scrum half has dummied a pass, twice the referee has chosen not to notice. Gone. Marys have the two-man line out. Jamieson at the front. Loses it, but Coughlin tidies up well. Beautifully set up for Thorne. A very improved scrum half. McNamara waits, calls for the mark and gets it as Thorne comes to him. Quickly taken. Jim McNamara. The bounce comes to Wall. Now Aidan White. What a good clearance by Jim McNamara on the left wing for young Munster. Number 7, Kevin Devlin on the left. Ger Earls on the right. Number 8, Declan Edwards for young Munster. Good work at the line out. Derek Tobin's good kick, maybe a bit far. Aidan White, very safe. Took a little time to readjust there. Fitzgerald, the thrower. Again, good catching at the line out by young Munster, driving up to the Mary's 22. Tobin, O'Halloran, the dummy scissors, taken on by Edwards, intercepted by Cunningham. Lavin now, Brent Pope, oh that was Gillen, the right winger. Danger here as Wall comes to him. Ger McNamara in trouble as Mary's force it up to the 22. Ball taken in by young Munster. Scrum and the put in will be to St. Mary's. Derek Tobin, the young Munster scrum half who played for Munster against the Australians. get some running repairs done. "15 minutes into the game. It's still 3-0 for young Munster. That's a good heel by St Mary's. Brent Pope waits. Tobin waits to dive. Taken by Lavin. Finds the support of his forwards. Taken on by young Munster and well robbed. O'Halloran looking for space. That was well won by the young Munster forwards. Well, they said that there mightn't be a good atmosphere at Lansdowne Road when the game was switched from Templeville. But believe me, the atmosphere at Lansdowne Road has never been more tense, more emotional, more exciting, I think, than it is today for this. Steve Jemison's two-handed catch, a good one. Nicky Barry's relieving kick is in touch. Quickly thrown in. Ger McNamara kicks on into the Mary's 22, but doesn't gain any ground. Ball crossing the touchline without a bounce. Line out back near halfway. Aidan White from St Mary's fullback. Corcoran's throw, Jemison's catch. The ball wasn't in straight. The referee gives young Munster the option. They go for a scrum. Derek Tobin puts in. It seemed to break back, and the referee is going to ask for the scrum to be reformed. Declan Edwards perhaps a little lucky then. Tobin's put in. Edwards to Tobin. Aidan White calls for a mark as Jim McNamara comes to him. Free kick for St Mary's. Finds touch midway between the 22 and the halfway line. Whatever breeze is blowing is favouring young Munster in this first half. They lead 3 points to 0. Mark Fitzgerald's throw, Ryan's tapped down. Nicely controlled by Declan Edwards, slipped on. There for Tobin. Gerrards, well tackled by Devlin. Now O'Halloran. Ball takes it. Now he's in trouble. Ball released and cleared well by Vinnie Cunningham. Big Frank Brosnan there in the centre for young Munster. Mark Fitzgerald the thrower. Mary's win it well. Mark Thorne breaking away. Has Devlin in support. That's a good break by the scrum half. Were rather wildly kicked forward by young Munster. Advantage to St Mary's. Thorne once more. Now Barry. Cunningham. Again the angle not quite right. Gives McNamara a chance, but he was in no man's land. Gains no ground. No man's land. He's just outside his 22, and he couldn't kick directly for touch to gain ground. An awkward position for a fullback. 3 points to nil for young Munster at the end of the first quarter of this decisive game in the league. The ball seems to be knocked forward by Mark Thorne. Scrum to young Munster. One would have to say that after the nonsense that erupted from the kickoff, this game has been played in a very good spirit, so hopefully the players got rid of whatever tension they had in that flare-up. White return Gary Owen. The referee penalised St Mary's for not retiring into an onside position. Young Munster opt for the penalty. Again, the kick is sliced. Gillen and White from inside the 22 brings play almost to halfway. So 21 minutes gone. Quick word from Tony Ward.
I'm surprised at how much line-out ball young Munster have gotten so far. That seemed to be a strong area, and there again it comes back on the young Munster side. That obviously is an area that St Mary's are looking to win a considerable amount of ball, and so far young Munsters have done more than favourably in that area.
Thorne putting in for St Mary's just inside their own half. Good pass to Nicky Barry, a long one out to Cunningham. Aidan White knocks it forward. He's never running onto it. Advantage to young Munster. They'll get the put in. Tobin's good put in. Scrum, however, just going down. Declan Edwards holds it. And Munster without their captain, Ger Clohessy. Tobin's sniping run close to his forwards. It's intercepted well. This is Potts for St Mary's. Looks for Wall. Whistle's gone. Referee says it was knocked forward. Scrum to young Munster. Three points to nil. And 23.5 minutes gone. O'Halloran's long one out. Brosnan takes it on. Jim McNamara can't get onto it, but he's got it back. Tobin now takes. Aidan White inside his 22 for St Mary's and returns it well, but Ger McNamara, no relative of the other McNamaras in the team. Second attempt, Tony Gillen finds touch. Tony Gillen requiring attention. Come on, 25 minutes gone. Fitzgerald's throw, won by St Mary's. On goes Jemison, captain for St Mary's. Back to Thorne. And a free kick against young Munster for getting ahead of the ball as the maul was formed. And St Mary's setting it up. Brian Keane driving on. Brent Pope misses it. Cunningham tries to come onto it. Devlin was there. Referee says it's okay. Back on the Mary side, and the whistle goes, knocked forward by young Munster, and it'll be a scrum to St Mary's. all rather untidy and frenetic at the moment. Niall McNamara on the right wing for young Munster, waits, isolated. It's like the action is centred here. Brent Pope finds Devlin inside. Devlin retains his standing. Ball made available for Thorne. Here's a chance for Barry. Now Cunningham up to halfway. On they go, that's Lavin. This is Wall. Kicks into the young Munster 22. Danger here for McNamara. Did well to get the kick in. Best move of the game so far for St. Mary's. They trail 3 points to 0. They mount a good attack. So after 27 minutes of play, packed Lansdowne Road in the stands. Biggest game for, or biggest crowd for a club game. Watch St. Mary's with this line out. And it's won well by Tobin. Fine's touch nearer the 22 than the goal line. Good line out work by young Munster. St. Mary's using the two-man line-out, which has worked so well for them throughout this Insurance Corporation League campaign. Jemison, number 5, the captain. Coughlin, number 4. Coughlin moves forward, or Jemison taps it down. Thorne to Barry. Cunningham back inside on the 22. Brent Pope. Back to Thorne. Barry, the drop-it goal for St. Mary's. Looks good. Nicky Barry has equalised, 3 points each. 28 minutes gone. Well, it was a perfectly set up maul. Brent Pope went into it, and when Thorne dug it back, there was Barry waiting. He sized it up and dropped the goal as coolly as that. 3 points each. Brent Pope takes it again. Big, strong number 8. Sets it up for Thorne. Whistle goes, and the referee is penalising St. Mary's. And a remarkable decision by referee McHugh when St. Mary's were anxious to get the ball back, that St. Mary's should be penalised for not playing the ball. The referee pointing to one of the St. Mary's players, having seen one of the St. Mary's players throwing a punch. Perhaps that was what the penalty was awarded for. But it's a chance for young Munster to go in front again. O'Halloran, who's kicked their opening points. Aidan O'Halloran, top scorer for young Munster, makes a mess of this one. He's pulled it left and wide. Looked to be a good kick. 3 points each. And perhaps at the end of the day, justice done. But Aidan will be disappointed with that one. Nicky Barry restarts. Well taken by young Munster. Tobin feeds O'Halloran. He tries to drop it goal. This looks better. It's over. Well, if he couldn't get them from the penalty spot, a fine drop it goal makes up for it. And young Munster are back in front. Well, when the ball came back from the ruck, Tobin seemed to be a little impeded, but when it came to O'Halloran, he made no mistake at all. Took his chance, got it well, and over she went. 6-3, young Munster. Mary's coming through on this. Well set up by Tobin. Whistle goes, and the referee penalises St Mary's again for playing the ball on the ground. O'Halloran finds touch, and the kicking side from the penalty get the throw in. Number 6 there on the left is Kevin Potts. Transferred to the flank for St Mary's. Declan Edwards got a hand to that. Penalty for against St Mary's. You could see there the St Mary's players, Tim Coughlan going right over the top, getting on the wrong side of the ball as the line-out was won. O'Halloran's good kick doesn't find touch though. And Aidan White returns it. Mark Fitzgerald, the thrower. Mary seem to be controlling this, but the referee has seen a knock on and gives Mary's to put in. Young Munster pack have done well against St Mary's in the line-out so far in the game. Otherwise it's been pretty well even Stephen. Nicky Barry. Ger McNamara returns it low. Thorne, now Nicky Barry. Doesn't find touch, it's a long one into the wind. Beautifully caught by Niall McNamara. Oh, that was the hooker, in fact, Mark Fitzgerald who caught that. Now Declan Edwards. Now O'Halloran, caught in two minds, but does well to get away from it. Ray Ryan barging forward. Now it comes out to Niall McNamara on the right wing, and it's not the way a winger wants to get a ball. Whistle goes. Mary's, I think, penalised. Another penalty to young Munster. Mary's penalised again. Tim Coughlan, the one who is, I think, spotted by the referee. This time Tobin finds touch outside the Mary's 22. Mary's forwards really up against it, not certainly able to impose themselves on the game. Niall McNamara waits just on the halfway line as teammate Mark Fitzgerald throws for young Munster. Nicely caught by Peter Meehan, but the ball wasn't straight and St Mary's up for a scrum. And attention being called for one of the players, John Fitzgerald, capped several times for Ireland, but it's not John Fitzgerald. Oh, it is now. To go to half-time. Mark Thorne feeds Nicky Barry inside his 22, finds touch, and Nicky Barry and Derek Tobin. exchanging pleasantries, and in that case they certainly were pleasantries. Mark Fitzgerald, the thrower for young Munster. Jemison takes it on for St. Mary's. Thorne awkwardly to Nicky Barry. He needs Devlin beside him, but he lost it forward. Advantage to young Munster. Referee giving young Munster the advantage as Declan Edwards drives on. Tobin, O'Halloran might have moved it, but could gain a lot of ground here. Gillen keeps it in play. Oops, St. Mary's, you want to clear it. And Vinnie Cunningham did the needful. The cool head of Vinnie Cunningham required then. So coming up to a little less than 3 minutes to go to half-time. Young Munster still 3 points to the good, leading St. Mary's 6-3. Awkward bounce. Devlin picks it up for St. Mary's, sets up the maul. Thorne to Nicky Barry. Hadn't very much space, but got a good relieving kick. Ray Ryan there, waiting in the line-out. Declan Edwards just behind him. Jemison's tapped down. The whistle goes. A penalty against young Munster for coming through, and the ball into an offside position. The young Munster pack have done well in the line-out. And Aidan White finds good touch. A minute of normal time remains in the first half. Still 6-3 for young Munster. Two-man line-out works again for St. Mary's. Thorne swallowed up. But the referee says that St. Mary's encroached the 10-metre zone. A free kick to young Munster. O'Halloran's high kick. Wall takes, White gathers. Ball available to St. Mary's. And one of the young Munster players crashed to the ground, and the referee talking to the touch judge on the far side. Referee Wayne Sheridan speaking to referee Dave McHugh. Inquiring after the health of one of the players, and the conversation at the end of the first half continues between touch judge and referee. Brent Pope to be spoken to by the referee. So Brent Pope, the St. Mary's number 8 from New Zealand, is sent off. A sensational development at the end of the first half. The New Zealander, Brent Pope, shakes his head in disbelief as Dave McHugh, the referee, sends him off. And the injured young Munster player on the far side being taken off. And certainly the crowd on the far side very quick to react to that incident. Brent Pope, seen by the touch judge and the referee to have been the guilty party and dismissed. Mike Benson prepares on the touchline. And Mike Benson comes into the young Munster side. And so, a sympathetic round of applause for big Frank Brosnahan, the young Munster centre, who has been carried off after receiving prolonged detention. And the big crowd at Lansdowne Road give him a sympathetic round of applause. The incident occurred as the ball was going towards the far touchline, and the touch judge on the far side saw Brent Pope involved in it, the St Mary's number 8, and as Brosnahan went to ground, the crowd on the far side were very clear that they had seen an incident, and Frank Brosnahan, the one who has to go off the field, injured. Brent Pope has gone off the field, sent off by the referee. The replacement for the injured Frank Brosnahan, Mike Benson, and the penalty that resulted from that incident to be taken now by Aidan O'Halloran. Young Munster leading 6 points to 3. O'Halloran's kick to punish the incident goes right and wide, and St Mary's down to 14. Tipped down for a 22 drop out as the referee blows his whistle for half-time. So an intriguing second half awaits, with Mary's now down to 14 men, trailing by 3 points. The score at half-time, Young Munster 6, St Mary's 3. Referee McHugh blows his whistle. Potts takes it up for St Mary's. Devlin now at the start of the second half, and St Mary's down to 14. Can they come back at Young Munster? Mark Thorne, Nicky Barry using the wind well. Niall McNamara. Wall comes to chase him. He hasn't found touch. It's Aidan White for St Mary's into the Young Munster 22. Now Jamieson. St Mary's retain possession. Potts takes it on for Mary's. Mark Thorne. Penalty against Young Munster for not releasing the ball in the first minute of the second half.
Good play by St Mary's, good close-in driving. Kevin Potts involved a few times, and really it's vital that Mary's put points on the board early on, because the loss of the man in the pack is going to be huge in this second half. Good start by St Mary's.
So as Aidan White prepares to take this penalty goal for St Mary's, news of the injured player, Frank Brosnahan. He's been taken to hospital, apparently with a fractured jaw, but hopes to be okay. Now then, Aidan White to attempt to level the scores. Gets his first penalty goal of the game, and the sides are level on the scoreboard, 6 points each. And that's a good start for St Mary's. O'Halloran restarting for young Munster. Potts claims it for St Mary's. Mark Thorne, the scrum half, wants it, takes it from Dowling. Barry's long kick, this time well read by Niall McNamara. Retained by Mark Thorne. Finds Gary Lavin. Under the circumstances, that was a good kick by the St Mary's centre, Gary Lavin. St Mary's down to 7 forwards. Want to, I should imagine, move the ball as quickly as possible away from that area. Mark Fitzgerald throws. Very well won by Ray Ryan for young Munster. And they're going to keep it as tight as they can. They've lost it, but St Mary's penalised, and Derek Tobin did well to hold that back. So 4 minutes into the second half. David Wall looked at the touch judge. Tony Gillen well bandaged on the Mary's right wing. Good catch by Ray Ryan. He's been playing the stormer in the line-out for young Munster, taken on by Mark Fitzgerald into the 22. That's Declan Edwards driving close to the maul. Tobin now. Peter Classy. Referee lets it go, and Mary's booted away, but it was knocked forward by St Mary's. It will be a scrum to young Munster. And the referee penalises St Mary's for dissent. Aidan O'Halloran with 6 minutes of the second half gone. Difficult kick across the face of the posts. The wind blowing across him. But he has a marvellous kicking record, and that just missed the post. The wind taking it away. Still remains 6 points each. Mickey Barry. O'Halloran takes on halfway. Gary Lavin grounds him. Mary's forwards go in. Whistle goes. The referee says it will be a scrum and Mary's will put in because young Munster didn't get it back. It seemed difficult for them to get it back, seeing that their own forwards had gone right over it. 7 St Mary's forwards have a hard task against the 8 young Munster forwards, but it's interesting that young Munster have taken their number 8, Dec Edwards, out of the scrums to strengthen their defence. Number 1 there, Brian Keane, asking the referee to just check the scrummaging of the front rows. Peter Clohessy on this side of the young Munster scrum. Thorne slips forward, did well in spite of the pressure there. Now Mary's need to use it, but it's available to young Munster. John Fitzgerald acting as scrum half. Whistle goes, however, but Mary's penalised, and it's a free kick to young Munster. Mary's penalised for playing the ball on the ground. John Fitzgerald turns, feeds it on to Derek Milan. Tobin. Gillen returning it downfield, but he was in touch. In fact, the referee says he knocked it on. Derek Gillen with that headband, not altogether comfortable. On to St Mary's 22. This time, young Munster use all 8 forwards. Tobin puts in. Tobin slips inside. That's good work by Tobin. Gerald. Tobin now. Peter Clohessy driving forward. Tobin. O'Halloran. A drop at goal. Is over. His second drop at goal. It's 9 points to 6 for young Munster. Classic driving by the young Munster pack. Ger Clohessy went to ground, fed it back, and when it came, O'Halloran had all the time in the world for a classic drop goal. That's the lead for young Munster.
And both of his drop goals have been beautifully struck. He really gets underneath the ball and puts it clean between the posts. But that's what young Munster are going to do for the rest of this half. Driving close in to make the most of the extra man.
It's been a great afternoon for Aidan O'Halloran. Penalty goal and 2 drop goals so far. This is Michael Corcoran throwing for St Mary's. Steve Jamieson, Thorne, slips through into 22, looks inside, finds Tim Coughlin. Thorne wants it back. Feeds Barry. Lavin grounded. Back to Barry again. Now Cunningham. Wall. The young Munster cover comprehensive. Whistle goes. It was knocked forward by St Mary's. David Wall, St Mary's left winger. Tobin putting in for young Munster. O'Halloran inside his 22. O'Mara. Gillen running onto it. Knocked puts it forward. It'll be another scrum for young Munster. Just outside young Munster's 22, still 9-6 they lead. Tobin, O'Halloran this time finds a good touch. Corcoran, the thrower for St. Mary's. Coughlin at the back. Jemison running forward. Coughlin feeds Thorne. Thorne in trouble. Tackled by Tobin and robbed. Young Munster wanted. And it's there for John Fitzgerald to burst forward. Now Ger Earls up to the Mary's 10-metre line. Tobin now. But that's too far, and Aidan White, the St. Mary's fullback, pumps it back into the young Munster half. For young Munster, they might have played it. Mary's have the advantage and the ball, and young Munster are penalised for going over the top. White going to have a shot at goal, and remember, of course, a draw is enough for St. Mary's. They have a huge advantage as far as points difference is concerned, but they only have 14 players for this second half. Brent Pope having been sent off at the end of the first half. So just 15 minutes of the second half gone. That's the scoreline. And number 15, Aidan White, has a chance to level the scores for St. Mary's. The wind in the second half favouring St. Mary's. White's kick is not going to make it. And Ger McNamara returns it but doesn't find touch. What a good catch by Thorne. Intercepted, and here's a chance for Ger Earls. Chased by Nicky Barry. Earls looks for support. Barry chases him. Nicky Barry can't stop him. He's there. Ger Earls has scored. Brilliant for young Munster. Ger Earls taking the interception, raced away, and as the folklore of Limerick rugby develops, that run will extend to about a mile. And on he went into the 22, chased by Nicky Barry. Nicky Barry couldn't swallow him up, and he had the strength to get over and stretch for the line. A great try for Ger Earls. 14 points to 6, young Munster the leaders, and Aidan O'Halloran with a difficult chance at the conversion. No charge allowed for St. Mary's as O'Halloran's kick is pulled left and wide. Score remains young Munster 14, St. Mary's 6. Nicky Barry restarts, and Ger McNamara hits it firmly to touch. Well, there's a great tradition in Limerick, and young Munster living up to that tradition in Dublin as well, and that tradition is that a St. Mary's team is never more dangerous than when it falls behind, so expect a rally from St. Mary's even if they have only 14 players. Ger Earls, high kick, Taken well by David Wall, the Mary's right winger. Whistle goes, the referee says there wasn't coming back, and the fact that 3 young Munster players were over the top is ignored by the referee. Scrum, because St Mary's couldn't play it. Scrum to young Munster. Going round, has to be reformed, not at the original place, at the place it was actually stopped at, so a few metres gained by young Munster. O'Halloran using it well. Aidan White keeps it in play and returns it. Minutes gone in the second half. 14 points to 6. Another good ball won by young Munster. This is Mark Fitzgerald driving forward. That was Kevin Potts booting it down for St Mary's. Ger McNamara outside his 22 did well. Meanwhile, Kevin Devlin, St Mary's wing forward, requiring attention. So we're coming into the last quarter of this deciding game in the Insurance Corporation All-Ireland League. Young Munster leading St Mary's 14-6. Corcoran's throw for St Mary's. The outside arm went up there, and the referee has actually penalised young Munster rather than giving St Mary's a free kick. So he saw obstruction, and Aidan White is going to have a shot at goal. So we've had 21 minutes of the second half, and the large contingent of young Munster supporters dead silent as Aidan White kicks for St Mary's, but this isn't going to make it either. And young Munster leading 14 points to 6. The opportunities that Aidan White would have been glad to take, not coming to him today. In the last quarter of the game, O'Halloran restarts. Young Munster claim it. Whistle goes, ball knocked forward by young Munster, and the scrum will be to St Mary's, outside the young Munster 22. Once more, the young Munster pack release Declan Edwards to stiffen the defence on the short side. Thorne puts in for St Mary's. Here's Barry. Lavin's long one comes to Wall. There for Thorne again. Now Barry. Coming down outside the 22. Knocked forward by St. Mary's. No advantage to Young Munster. Scrum to Young Munster. Tobin. O'Halloran's kick. In touch now. Jemison at the front of the St. Mary's line with the sweatband. Corcoran's throw, Jemison's tap down, Potts back to Corcoran. Available for Thorne. Barry takes, Cunningham kicks. Taken by Niall McNamara. And Gary Lavin came crushing through on Niall McNamara, and Niall McNamara fortunately able to continue. Stands at the front there of the Young Munster line. Coughlin gathers that beautifully at the line out for St. Mary's. And St. Mary's need a score here. Out it comes from Barry to Cunningham. That's Dillon bursting forward. Whistle goes. Young Munster offside. And Aidan White takes it from Nicky Barry and is going to have a shot at goal. So just 26 minutes of the second half gone. These Young Munster players delighted with their lead, 14 points to 6. But Aidan White, who's missed 3 chances at penalty goals, has a chance to reduce the arrears for Mary's. He struck this one much more satisfactorily. Up to the flags. The gap is narrowed. St. Mary's 9, Young Munster 14. Starts, Potts takes, St. Mary's control it, Nicky Barry pumps it downfield, taken by Jim McNamara, crossfield he comes, could be in trouble here, this is O'Mara, ball goes forward from O'Mara, Jemison picks up for St. Mary's. Whistle goes. The advantage will be to St. Mary's for the original knock-on. So into the last 15 minutes, Tony Ward. The game delicately poised, but the advantage with Young Munster.
Yes, I would think so. I think Mary's are going to have to move the ball as they're doing now. They'll have to take the ball wide and run it well away from Young Munster's pack. Mind you, they're still within a score.
And Jerry McNamara deciding discretion was the better part of valour. steadying it down. Young Munster leading 14-9, and by 15 players to 14 in the second half. Mary's having lost Brent Pope in an incident just before half-time, as Frank Brosnahan retired with a fractured jaw, we gather. Mary's breakaway. Derek Dowling playing so well at prop forward. Thorne feeds Barry. Lavin, the long one out to White. Now it's Cunningham, and now it's Gillen to Wall. The ball still isn't in touch. It is now. To young Munster, the ball seemed to have gone forward towards Wall that time. Controlled by the number 8 Declan Edwards. Number 18 there is Derek Milan, who came on as a substitute after Captain Ger Clohessy had to go off after just a few minutes of this important game. Comes to White, chance here for St. Mary's, has moved to Cunningham. Cunningham up to halfway, finds Lavin on halfway. Devlin back to Nicky Barry, crossfield. Nicky Barry up to the 10-metre line, has Wall outside him, keeps going. Now he's Wall set away. Wall kicks on, and Ger Cunningham tips down for a 22 drop out. Danger for young Munster. Fine attack by St. Mary's.
Yes, a good counter-attack in open play by St. Mary's. Good run by Nicky Barry. I think David Wall really should have settled to step into touch, so it put Mary's in a very strong attacking position. As it is, it's a 22 out for young Munsters. Good play by Mary's.
Ten minutes left in a game of great intensity. Whistle goes, the ball was knocked forward, the referee gives the scrum to young Munster. 14 points to 9, young Munster in front. Mary's a tantalising try away from winning the league, because a try would give them a draw, and on the better points difference, St. Mary's would then win the league. But they have a lot of work to do. Young Munster in control of the scrum. St. Mary's ranging away, and O'Halloran finds touch. A long throw from Gillen, comes to Devlin. Lavin takes it, slips it to Potts. Out to Barry, here's Cunningham, here's Wall, up to the 22. McNamara can't get to him, Wall is in! What a try! 14 St. Mary's have drawn level, 14 points each. Dave Wall has leveled the score. What a remarkable try. When the ball came back, it was seemed thrown quickly by Gillen, the long line out. Then Devlin swung it back, and away came the back, and eventually Cunningham fed it on to Wall. Wall had to get round Ger McNamara, and he just about did it and got in at the corner. What a try. So the conversion to come, Aidan White. It has gone left and wide. The sides are locked level at 14 points apiece. If it stays that way for the next 7 minutes, then St. Mary's will have won the league. But remember, young Munster have 15 players. Brent Pope having been sent off the Mary's side just before half-time. Gary Lavin. It was in touch, the quick throw is taken. Ger McNamara in trouble now. Mary's booted on. Devlin was booting it on, but the referee penalises St. Mary's for offside. O'Halloran's kick brings play 10 metres from the Mary's 22. Young Munster know they've got to score again if they're to win the league. For them, it's all or nothing now. 18, Derek Milan, who came on for the injured Ger Clohessy. Tobin, O'Halloran. Nice kick ahead. Gillen calls for the mark, gets the free kick. Tony Gillen, who will be remembered for a long time in St. Mary's, not so much for the many tries he scored, but for the one he created with that quick throw-in. And that quick throw-in led to that magnificent try by his opposite winger, David Wall. Mark Fitzgerald's throw. Coughlin feeds it back. The referee penalises St. Mary's again. It's a penalty for young Munster and a chance for Aidan O'Halloran to put them in front once more. 5 minutes left. Tony Ward, it's so exciting, so delicately balanced.
And what a big moment for Aidan O'Halloran, who's had a very good game today in every aspect of his play, but if ever a game was on a knife edge, this is it, and this is a big, big kick for the young Munster out half.
And what a crowd at Lansdowne Road. So many thousands have travelled up from young Munster, and they're all over the ground. And every thought they have is thinking this one over. He's dropped 2 goals, he's kicked a penalty goal, and this penalty is a vital one for Aidan O'Halloran and for young Munster. Into the wind is holding it up, it's over! Young Munster are back in front, 4 minutes left, 17-14 they lead, the wind held it up. And that's a good kick. Dave Wall out to Nicky Barry. Now Aidan White. Here come Mary's again, but White has made a mistake. Offside. Penalty to St. Mary's. Noel O'Mara was offside, a most unfortunate position for him, because he's now given St. Mary's the chance to equalise. The ball was on the ground, O'Mara was on the wrong side, it was nudged forward, it was too much for him to resist. Penalty to St. Mary's. No one would blame a player for that infringement, but it has given Aidan White and St. Mary's a long-range chance of getting an equaliser which would enable them to win the league. And in contrast to the silence that the young Munster supporters afforded the St. Mary's kickers up to now, there was not so much silence when Aidan O'Halloran was converting his penalty goal for young Munster. So now, Aidan White with 2 minutes left. This to level the scores for St. Mary's. Looks right, off the post, Cunningham for St. Mary's. is wanted. Penalty against St. Mary's for not playing the ball. And you can draw your own conclusions from that decision, as the referee is giving St. Mary's a warning, and Kevin Potts is being penalised another 10 metres for interpreting the referee's decision perhaps a little critically. Meanwhile, one of the young Munster players down injured as O'Halloran's kick doesn't find touch. Dowling feeds Gillen. Corcoran. Potts bursting through. Barry knocks it forward. Advantage to young Munster. Earls leaves it. O'Halloran kicks up. Gillen is back for St. Mary's. They've got to pump it down, but young Munster get the advantage of a scrum back because there was a knock-on. We've had 39 minutes of play. The referee is calling on the medical assistance for different players, and it really is getting a bit scrappy here at Lansdowne Road because there's players on the ground, there's officials walking around the pitch, and the referee calling back play for advantage to young Munster. 1 minute of additional time. We're into the first minute of additional time. Young Munster leading 17-14. Tobin puts in for young Munster. They won the Bateman Cup at Lansdowne Road in 1928. A famous victory that was for them. And they've come back to Lansdowne Road in 1993, and they lead St. Mary's for the Insurance Corporation League title by 17 points to 14. Whistle goes, scrum has ran to 90 degrees, and young Munster happy to keep it, keep possession. There's nothing pushing them at all. They control the scrum with their 8 forwards. St. Mary's move it. Declan Edwards, who's played a storming game at number 8, has it. The scrum collapses. The whistle goes. Less than a minute of additional time is added on, and young Munster have beaten St. Mary's. A magnificent victory for young Munster by 17 points to 14. And what a moment for Gerard Clohessy, the man who had to retire after just 4 minutes, but captain of this marvellous young Munster side. He accepts the Insurance Corporation All-Ireland League trophy. Gerard Clohessy, captain of young Munster.
Your immediate thoughts?
Delighted. Ecstasy. I thought there for the last 5 minutes when they got the try, I thought it was all over for us. We're showing the character that's in the team. We knew we had only one chance, was to go back and fight for it, and we got it.
It was a fairly honest game after the initial sorting out period, wasn't it?
Yeah, but sure, these things happen in rugby, lads, and that Steve Jemison said earlier on, rugby's a man's game. If they're not able for it, well and good. I think myself that St. Mary's won't begrudge us this. They're a young team. Their time will come. All of our guys are thinking of retiring this year, and after a long struggle down through the years and beating in cup finals in 2 successive years, this is the one we wanted and we got it.
What are your plans now?
Oh, I'm going to get drunk now, that's for sure.
It was tough and physical, as we expected. We've no complaints about that. We got our chances, and they got theirs, and they added up more than we did.
Did the young Munster reputation contribute to Mary's lack of discipline in the first half? A lot of penalties given away?
I think it was happening from both sides, you know. People were very wound up for the match, and people may have got carried away to an extent, you know. But there was niggles from both sides there, you know, right through the game. You know, that sort of funny kind of a game there, you know.
still, Mary's heads never went down in spite of losing Brent Pope.
Yeah, that was a major blow to our plan. Like obviously Brent had a favour to do at the end of at the back of the scrum, and all the moves certainly evolved around Brent, as it were. It was a major loss, but I still think we could have won it. You know, unfortunately, like a draw would have done it, and Whitey's kick off the upright in the last minute. You know, that was very unfortunate. We could have won it, and that's just the way things go.
It's okay.